Thank you, Chairperson, sir. I am the only speaker from my party. ऐ मेरे वतन के लोगों, जरा आंख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी। देश में थी दिवाली, वो खेल रहे थे होली, जब हम बैठे थे घरों में, वो झेल रहे थे गोली। थे धन्य वो जवान वो अपने, थी धन्य वो उनकी जवानी, तुम भूल ना जाओ उनको, इसलिए सुनो ये कहानी। Honorable Chairperson, sir, today I stand here not just on behalf of my party, the All India Trinamool Congress, but I stand for every single Jawan, for every single officer of the Central Armed Police Forces to oppose the CAPF Bill 2026 with all my might. I speak for those CAPF officers who are killed in action and denied the tag of a martyr. This government insists on calling them operational casualties. I speak for those officers who are recruited through the UPSC, just like IPS, who guard 15,000 kilometers of India's borders, serve in conditions that rival active warfare from Ladakh's frozen heights to Chhattisgarh's jungle, respond as a first line of command to every terrorist operation. They have no fixed duty time, no guaranteed family postings, no compensatory leave, and they handle the full spectrum of national security threats from Jammu and Kashmir to Manipur. Disaster relief duty, they are there. After every national calamity. Election duty, they are there. There have been 128 plus officer-level deaths. Number of Jawans has been spoken by my colleague, Dharmendra Yadav. 128 plus officer-level deaths across all CAPFs in combat and operational duties in the period 1990 to 2025. 217 plus permanently disabled officers whose disability pensions now you're also taxing. It is their voice which the government has consistently refused to listen to in the past 15 years. It is their voice which is resonating through all our voices in this House today. It is these officers whose this government has refused to consult, who you have refused to consider as stakeholders. You've aggressively fought them in the courts for the past 15 years. Even after losing case after case to them, you are still not willing to do the right thing. Let us understand first the history of the CAPF in India and where the problem lies, where the root of the problem is, and why the government is bringing in this bill now on the back of a Supreme Court judgment which they lost and a failed review petition which went against the MHA in February 26 and an upcoming contempt petition next week. We know most commonly of the 5 CAPFs, but actually there are 7 CAPFs. There were 7 paramilitary forces set up in India in the 150-year period between 1835 and between 1984. And they're all covered under the Ministry of Home Affairs. The oldest is the Assam Rifles, set up in 1835 as the Kachar Levy. It's responsible for the Indo-Myanmar border and for counterinsurgency. This is the only one with a 2-tiered command. So its operational command is under the Ministry of Defense, and it is headed by a Lieutenant General rank army officer. Administrative command is by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Then this was followed by the Crown's Representative Police in 1939, later renamed as the CRPF in 1949. This is the largest force, 3.3 lakh force, and it is responsible for internal security and anti-Naxal operations, and it even contains the specialist unit Cobra. Then came the 3 forces guarding our borders. First, the Indo-Tibetan Police, ITBP, set up after the 1962 Chinese War to guard the Sino-Indian border. The Sashastra Seema Bal was set up in 1963 for the Indo-Nepal and the Indo-Bhutan border. After the Indo-Pakistan War, the BSF was set up in 1965. And today it also helps the Army and the CRPF in counter-insurgency operations. The Central Industrial Security Force, the CISF, was set up in 1969 to provide security for critical installations, to guard our nuclear sites, to guard our airports. And today it's also responsible for the duty of guarding X, Y, Z and Z plus persons who are covered in these security categories. In fact, our Home Minister has famously said that he owes his life to them. Fantastic. At last, the National Security Guards set up as a specialist commando unit in 1984. Now, the CAPF in India has about 13,000 Group A officers, leading a total strength of 9.5 lakh active personnel. This is only 25% less than the Indian Army, which is about 12.5 lakh active soldiers on the ground today. Now, these CAPF officer positions, when they come in through the UPSC, they come in as assistant commandants and they're filled through the UPSC. Going forward is the twist. The problem is they enter. Then what happens? So assistant commandant, deputy commandant, you're filled in by UPSC recruitment. Up to senior commandant, you are promoted. The minute you come to DIG level, you have a 70-30 deputation, cadre to deputation ratio, which means 70% from the cadre, 30% from IPS deputation. When you go to senior administrative grade, which is SAG, IG rank, you have 50-50. 50% will come in from the IPS. When you get to the higher levels, which is the HAGs and the Apex, which is ADGP and DG, no CAPF officer, no matter how good he is, how hard he works, can never head his own force. It is always going to be from outside. Always a DG is going to be an IPS. How is this fair? So generalist IPS officers who are parachuted into CAPF commands as DIG, IG, ADG to occupy the very posts that CAPF cadre officers have been training for 20-30 years for. So a CRPF commandant with Cobra experience in Bastar and Chhattisgarh is watching silently as an IPS officer with no CAPF background is suddenly assuming command over him. How is this fair? You tell us. Every time the BJP pulls some unknown BJP worker out of the hat and makes them chief minister, they tell all of us, look how great the BJP is. Even the lowliest worker can get to the top post. Even our Pradhan Mantri came from very humble background. He's become the Prime Minister. The top job is available to him. Then how can this government, led by this very ruling party, deny this meritocracy to the men who are shedding and staking every drop of their blood for this country? What kind of double standards are these? Now, there was a historical reason before for this IPS deputation. When the new services were set up in 62, 63, 65, 69, what happened? There was going to be a time lag of 20 to 30 years when in-house officers rose to senior positions through career progressions. So, even then, when there was a shortage of cadre officers, they did not put down on paper there should be reservation for IPS. The IPS officer deputation was only meant to be a temporary stopgap arrangement. It was never meant to be a permanent hegemony over the forces. When you see Lalan Prasad Singh, ICS, he was Union Home Secretary. In 1970, what did Lalan Prasad Singh say? He said, finding avenues of promotion for officers of the IPS cannot be the overriding objective. The force must provide adequate avenues of promotion to its own officers. Take Khusro Rustamji. He himself was an IPS. He was the first DG of the BSF 1966 to 1970. What did he say? In due course, there would be sufficient officers to occupy the higher ranks of deputy commandants and would not like to take IPS or army officers on deputation. This is Khusro Rustamji. The Khusro Rustamji committee report was the basis on which the Coast Guard was set up. In the report, he said that the DG of the Coast Guard should be somebody from the Coast Guard. That is why today the Coast Guard is not led by an IPS officer, it is led by somebody from the Coast Guard. Now, Kanetkar, VG Kanetkar, was DG of the CRPF in 1966. What did he say? He said, I felt that the claims of such CRPF senior officers for higher ranks should not be ignored. Then we have the 7th Central Pay Commission report in 2015, mentions clearly, such Group A officers should get sufficient opportunity to man senior positions in the CAPF. The percentage of posts earmarked for deputation officers should be reviewed and service rules should be amended. Officers from the CAPF must be made eligible for manning the highest post of Director General DG. 2018, it is the BJP government. There are 2 committee reports both saying exactly the same thing. The first, there's an estimates committee report headed by Murli Manohar Joshi in March 2018. What does it say? It is surprising to note that even when these officers recruited by IPSC through open competition, and that too at officer level, the top position in CAPF are occupied by IPS officers. IPF officers, in spite of competence and efficiency, cannot have the advantage of expertise that the insider has. This is the truth. The harshest comments came from the report in December 2018 by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Home Affairs, chaired by Mr. Chidambaram. Very, very stringent comments. What does it say? The CAPFs have come of age. However, neither short of experience nor short of numbers. No more than 25% posts should be reserved for officers coming on deputation, and there should be no reservation of posts of Director General in any CAPF, and officers of CAPF should be given equal opportunity to reach the topmost ranks. In spite of all these experts, in spite of all these reports, what does this government do? First, the central government even refused to recognize that the CAPF was an organized Group A service, which is commonly known as OGAS. They said, you're not an OGAS. CAPF officers went to the Delhi High Court. In 2015, the High Court ruled in their favor, and they said very clearly that the 5 CAPF, which is the CRPF, BSF, ITBP, SSB, and CISF, are definitely part of OGAS and entitled to 6th Pay Commission, non-functional financial upgradation. Government, what did it do? It didn't listen. It went to appeal in the Supreme Court. Supreme Court 2019, bench of Rohinton Nariman and M.R. Shah, February 2019, upheld the Delhi High Court judgment and said that, told the government, please grant non-functional financial upgradation and regard them as organized Group A services. The court said the government is doing U-turns. What is applicable to all Group A central services must be applicable to CAPF. You cannot deny them. The 2019 order also said that start their career review immediately and finish by 30th June 2019. It gave a set deadline. After this, what happened? The cabinet met in July. Narendra Modi ji chaired the cabinet, met in July 2019 and said, all right, we'll pay you. They agreed to the financial part of it, which was the non-functional financial upgradation. But they did nothing about the cadre review and amending the service rules and stopping the deputation. They did nothing. Then in 2024, another batch of petitions were filed from BSF, CISF, other CAPFs, filed saying that you have been declared OGAS for all purposes, not just financial. So why are consequential steps like cadre review and restructuring not being done? Finally, on May 23rd, 2025, just listen to the saga. Listen to this 13-year saga. Sun lo ye kahani. Sabko sunna hai ye kahani. 13 years. May 23rd, 2025, Supreme Court bench of Justice Oak and Justice Bhuiya gave an order in favor of the CAPF. I have the order here, section 45. Says very clearly, amend the service recruitment rules with all consequential benefits after hearing CAPF officers within 6 months. Complete the cadre review, which was due in 2021, within 6 months. Phase out deputation posts up to IG, SAG level within 2 years. What does your government do? Does it listen? No. Immediately goes for a review petition. Who are you fighting? You're fighting the 13,000 officers who fight and die for our country. Is this the battle you should be picking? The MHA's review petition was dismissed by the Chief Justice in October. Chief Justice Surya Kant dismissed it. The judgment is final and binding. Yet, neither directive has been complied. A contempt petition has been filed against the MHA in January. Hearings were held in February and March. Additional Solicitor General of the Government of India stands up and says, no, we are considering legislative alternatives. Now, what is this great legislative alternative? These 4 pages I hold in my hand, this bill. This is the legislative alternative. It is not even worth the paper it is printed on. Do you know why? I'm going to read out clause 3. Clause 3 of this bill says, notwithstanding anything contained in any other law for the time being in force, any judgment, decree, or any order issued from time to time, the central government may, by notification, make rules to provide for the method, manner, and mode of recruitment, including promotion and deputation, And such rules shall provide for 50% of the post to be filled by deputation in the rank of IG, minimum of 67% of the post to be filled in deputation in the rank of ADG, and all the DG and the special DG posts shall be done by deputation. Now, I think the law ministry of this government has gone to sleep. You know, it's been a long winter. It's still not summer yet in Delhi. I think they're still hibernating. They need to come out of hibernation. Why? Because you are not even saying this in the actual act, in the bill which will become an act. You're not saying it. You are saying you will bring in rules. I think the Law Ministry has not even considered that on October 29, 2025, the Supreme Court gave a very big judgment. Justice Dipankar Datta and Justice Augustine George Massey gave a judgment which said that legislature cannot override court judgment. It can only cure defects forming its basis through valid amendments. So if it is settled principle in law that even an act cannot override a judgment, you are trying to bring in rules that will override a judgment. And not only a judgment that has withstood a review. That's the kind of judgment you're trying to bring in. So you are following a path that is morally reprehensible but legally fallacious. You're bound to be struck down in the court. The state is killing officer morale with structural stagnation, and then you're expecting battlefield excellence. Look at the numbers. 438 suicides among CAPF personnel in the last 3 years. That's nearly 150 suicides on average per year. 300% increase in fratricides in CAPF personnel in just 1 year, 24 to 25. 50% increase in resignations among CAPF personnel between 2014 and 2025. In the statement of objects and reasons in this bill, which is on the last page, you're saying, for ensuring close coordination between the union and the states for effective operational functioning, it is essential to maintain the existing system of deputation of the IPS in the CAPF. Now, with due respect, sir, this is completely false. Actually, this IPS deputation in the CAPF is being weaponized against the opposition during the time of election. In Bengal, what have you done today? You've removed all Bengal cadre IPS officers. You have shifted every single state cadre police officer. Why? Because you are saying they are agents of Trinamool. Fine, they are agents of Trinamool. But what have you done? What have you done is you have brought in IPS officers from every BJP-ruled state to control the CAPF in Bengal. Let me give you one example. In Bengal today, there are 2,500 CAPF companies. That's 2.5 lakh soldiers on the ground being controlled by one key player, Shalabh Mathur, IG rank officer, 2006 batch, UP cadre. He only joined the CRPF on deputation in January, 2 months ago. And he is already there in the Bengal polls. His wife is posted as Joint Director, Central Intelligence Bureau. In Calcutta, Manipur cadre IPS. Another backed up duo, Ashish Bharti, Swapna Meshram, both IPS DIGs, 2011 Bihar cadre, recently joined CRPF, posted to Bengal. Now, why suddenly post two husband-wife duos with no experience in Bengal who have just joined CRPF?
Make it brief, kindly conclude. Your time.
I've got 1 minute more, sir. Now, last Sunday in Leh, the Honorable Chief Justice of India, Surya Kantji, told us that the nation must never place its soldiers in the position of fighting two battles at once. One at the frontier and another at home for what is lawfully theirs. This is the Chief Justice of India saying this. Now, instead of improving working conditions, improving equipment, improving food, improving acclimatization, pensions, making sure that their children get, when they are transferred, their children get admission into Kendriya Vidyalayas, what is the government doing? It is hell-bent on demoralizing and destroying the careers of 13,000 CAPF officers and the morale of the 10 lakh strong force they land. I have got 1 minute more, sir. I'm the only speaker, please. 1 minute more, sir. I have 1 minute more, sir. I have 1 minute more. The Home Minister knows he is wrong. Yesterday, he did not come to the Rajya Sabha. Today, his deputy has stood here to bring this bill into this house. We, the Trinamool Congress, are not going to sit back while you play political games over our brave forces. Please send this bill to a select committee to deliberate on it. India has one rallying call. Sir, one last line. India has one rallying call. Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. This government has already got the inglorious record of bringing in the shameful farm laws and was forced to backtrack by our
you. Srimati Lovely
Kisans.
Anand.
Don't make the same mistake again.
Srimati
Don't
Lovely.
make the same mistake again. Our Jawans have won every battle on the ground and in the courts, and they will defeat you
बहुत-बहुत
again.
धन्यवाद,
Jai Hind
सभापति
की
महोदय।
सेना.